Hey guys, in this video we're going to be talking about our clarinet and saxophone reeds and assembling our mouthpieces. Now we start with our reeds, and your reed probably looks something like this in a plastic case. We've got the clarinet reed and the saxophone reed. Now to take the reed out of the case, you just grab it here where the plastic is missing and you pull it straight out. And it's really important that you're careful to only touch the reed on the darker brown part. Where the brown is the lighter color, the reed is thinner, and if you touch it there, you can break it. If you look at it on the back side, you see there are some words, and that is the name brand of the instrument as well as the thickness of the reed, and that's where your fingers should go. Your fingers should go where the words are. Now, if we're comparing the sizes of the reeds, we have the clarinet reed in my right hand and the saxophone reed in my left hand. So you can see that the clarinet reed is a little bit smaller and the saxophone reed is a little bit bigger. Now, the most important thing that you need to understand about a reed is it's delicate. The closer you get to the tip, the lighter the color gets and the thinner the reed gets, and you really never want to touch the tip of the reed or hit the tip of the reed on anything. It can chip, it can break, and once it's broken, it has to go in the trash. You can't use it to play anymore. So we have to be very, very careful. Now, the second thing we have to know about reeds is that they don't work when they're dry. So the very first thing you want to do with your reed is put it in your mouth. You're going to use the moisture in your mouth to wet your reed, or the spit, you might call it, in your mouth to wet your reed. And you're going to put it in your mouth about that much. So the light part of the reed essentially goes in your mouth, just like this. And the dark part where you grab it with your fingers, that's the part that hangs out of your mouth. And you want that to be in your mouth the entire time you're assembling your mouthpiece. Now I'm going to put my reeds to the side because I'm going to be talking to you, but the entire time you're doing these next steps, you need to be with your reed in your mouth so that it's getting wet and ready to play. So we've got the clarinet, and we're going to start with the mouthpiece. Now when you take it out of the case, it may look something like this. You want to take this black part off. This is a mouthpiece cap. You can put that back in your case. And then the silver part, yours might be silver or gold or black, but the part that has the screws that is on top of the mouthpiece, you want to take that off. So you're going to loosen the screws. Remember, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, and then just pull the ligature straight off the top. And then put the ligature back in your case for now as well. Now looking at the clarinet mouthpiece, we've got an opening here and an opening here. The opening that's on the back side of the mouthpiece right here is the part that's going to be covered with your reed in just a second. And then on the end of the mouthpiece, we have some brown stuff that goes around the end, and that's called cork. That's what you need your cork grease for. And then the next part of the clarinet is the barrel. And my barrel has a skinny side and a fat side. When you put those two pieces together, the barrel and the mouthpiece, you want to line up the skinny side of the barrel with the cork side of the mouthpiece. If you try to put it the other direction, you can see that it's just too big and it doesn't fit. Now, before you try to put these pieces together, we need to use our cork grease. So you're going to grab your cork grease out of your case. It looks like this. Looks like a tube of chapstick. Take the top off, put the top in your case. Notice how everything goes in your case so it's nice and safe and you don't lose it. And you're going to turn the bottom a little bit so that some of the cork comes up, some of the cork grease comes up. And then you're going to just rub it on the cork all the way around, just like you would rub chapstick on your lips. And then you use your fingers to rub it in. Your cork, when you're done applying your cork grease, should be slippery. If it's sticky and dry, then it needs more cork grease applied. Once you've applied your cork grease, You're going to grab your barrel, the skinny side lined up with the cork side of the mouthpiece. You line them up and then twist and push. And it should look like this when you're done. Now remember, it's twist and push. If you try to just push them together, then you could do some damage to your cork. So make sure you twist and push. And it looks like this when it's all put together and done. So now we've still got an opening, but now the opening is on the bottom side of the barrel, and you can see straight up into there. And then you've got your opening on the back of the mouthpiece that we're going to cover with the reed in just a second. So the entire time you're putting those pieces together, you've had your reed in your mouth and you've been soaking it and getting it wet. Now, for this next step, you're going to need your reed and your ligature. So go ahead and grab that out of your case, and your mouthpiece and barrel that you've already put together. Now looking at your mouthpiece, you see the opening that I talked about, and then you can see that this is nice and flat. That's the part that's going to line up with the flat side of your reed, which is the side of the reed that has the writing on it. So you're going to take your reed and you're going to lay it up against the mouthpiece, flat side of the reed to the flat side of the mouthpiece, and then you're going to line it up. And you're going to hold it on with your thumb for now, like this. And you want to make sure that the tip of the reed lines up with the tip of the mouthpiece, and you're never touching the tip. You can move it down here back and forth if you need to. Don't ever grab the tip and move it. Line those up. Those are the exact same shape, and the tip of the reed should be just at or just below the tip of the mouthpiece, so that a tiny little bit of black is showing over the top right there, just a tiny little bit. So you're holding your reed, you've covered the entire hole on the back of your mouthpiece, you're still holding it with your thumb, and then you're going to take your ligature. Now your ligature has a skinny side and a fat side, just like your barrel did. You're going to put the ligature over the mouthpiece, over the reed, careful not to touch the tip of the reed, with the screws facing you. These screws right here. And that's if you have a metal mouthpiece. If you have a metal ligature. If you have a black ligature, then the screws are gonna be on this side of the mouthpiece. But the general rule is, once you put the ligature on, over the clarinet and the reed, then the screws, these guys right here, are going to be on the right side. If I were to put my ligature on like this, then the screws are on the left side. So that's not right. The screws need to be on the right side, always. On this side. And you also want to make sure that the ligature is pushed down. And it's kind of hard to tell, but down below where the dark brown color starts. And then also, if you look at this side, do you see how the mouthpiece is sloped right here? The ligature needs to be below where that slope ends. So you might have to loosen your screws to be able to push your ligature down. Now, if you're trying to put your ligature on your mouthpiece and it's upside down, remember I said there's a skinny side and a fat side, and the fat side goes first. If you try it upside down and you do the skinny side first, it's gonna go on about that much and then it stops. That's upside down. Do not try to force it. You will break something. No forcing when you're putting your instrument together. So just take it off, turn the ligature over so that the fat side is down, and then slip it over the reed and mouthpiece. And when you're done, it should look like this. You want to make sure that the hole on the back of the mouthpiece is still completely covered by the reed, that the tip of the mouthpiece and the tip of the reed are still lined up. And then the last step is to, with your right hand, tighten the screws. And you'll be turning away from you, so you'll be turning that direction, righty-tighty, to tighten them up. That doesn't have to be super tight, just tight enough to where it's going to stay on your mouthpiece and it's going to hold the reed on. And when you're completely finished, it should look like this. Basically, all the ligature does is it holds the reed on the mouthpiece so that it doesn't move around while you're playing. So that's how to put together the clarinet, mouthpiece, barrel, ligature, and reed. Now the next step is to make a sound on this part of your instrument.